Recently, I've been reading Don't Believe Everything You Think, Why Your Thinking is the Beginning and End of Suffering by Joseph Nguyen. There's a chapter in this book that has been sitting with me, one about pausing. Pausing creates space between our emotions and actions, giving us the opportunity to choose a new response rather than repeating the same conditioned reactions that keep us in the cycle of suffering. Without this space, change cannot exist. Space has the illusion of emptiness on the surface. It is not empty but filled with infinite possibilities for us to choose a new experience of life. Within the space between your thoughts and your thinking lies the peace you've been seeking. Step 2 is to ask yourself, is this thinking making me feel the way I want, or do I want to keep suffering? These questions remind us of the power we have to choose whether we want to emotionally suffer or not. If we want to keep feeling the way we do, then we can choose to do so. We've all had times when we are not yet ready to let the negativity pass, and that is okay. But if we want peace, we can choose it by letting go of the thinking that is causing our suffering. Step 3 is to understand that you have the choice to stop and let go of your thinking. At this moment, you must decide what you want. Is it peace, or is it to continue the thinking that is causing the suffering? This can be scary, but if you trust yourself and that you will be okay no matter what happens, it becomes easier to let go. Step 4 is to say and repeat to yourself, thinking is the root cause of suffering. Reminding yourself of this disempowers your thinking, making it easier to manage because you begin to see through it. Repeating this phrase to yourself like a mantra when you begin experiencing negative emotions is a powerful practice. It is difficult for our minds to have multiple thoughts simultaneously, so repeating a single phrase forces the brain to focus only on it rather than something else. The reason mantras are effective is not just because of the power of words to influence our beliefs, but because they reduce or even stop our mind from thinking. Step 5 is to experience your emotions fully. Most of our destructive habits and behaviors come from the avoidance and suppression of emotions. When we ignore or fight our feelings, we only make our suffering worse. We're not trying to bypass our emotions, rather we are trying to accept and feel them fully without judgment. Suffering comes not from our emotions, but from the thinking we attach to the emotions. What would it feel like to experience your emotions without judgment? Can you feel how there's less resistance to them? Can you feel how much easier it is to let them go? How much more liberating does that feel? We unnecessarily create our own suffering by trying to make our minds do jobs they are not designed to do. Your mind's job is to anticipate threats. Your body's job is to regulate the resulting emotions. Everything has a role. When you let your body feel and process emotions fully, without the interference of your judgmental thinking, emotions will naturally pass more easily and quickly than you realize. The mind and body will always restore balance and harmony naturally when we get out of the way. That word courage, a word that sounds sharp, almost metallic, like a blade, but living it feels softer, stranger, more vulnerable. Courage is not just about running into fire or facing danger. Courage, in its truest form, is about facing yourself. It's about sitting with your own mind long enough to notice the truth, that the thoughts you've carried, the beliefs you repeated, the habits you've lived inside are not the whole of you. They are patterns, they are echoes, they are familiar voices you've mistaken for truth. And in that noticing, a space opens. That space is terrifying because it feels empty. It feels like stepping into a void. The mind scrambles to fill it with old stories, with reactions, distractions. But if you pause long enough to let the silence breathe, you discover that the emptiness is not hollow. It is alive. It is possibility. That space is the birthplace of change. Without it, we remain stuck in the loops, reacting the same way, saying the same words, making the same moves, painting the same lines, over and over. Without space, there is no room for choice, no room for growth, no room for newness. But with space, everything becomes possible. In this residency, I've learned that painting is not just about colour or form. It's about listening to that very space. The pause between brushstrokes, the breath before a decision, the silence after an emotion rises, but before it demands action. For 20 days, I've shown up here, letting my body, my mind, my soul be seen. I've reflected, I've surrendered, I've trusted, but beneath it all has been this same lesson. If I want to change, if I want to truly grow into who I'm becoming, I must learn to pause. I must learn to choose differently. The courage to change begins in the mind. It begins with the question, is this thought keeping me in suffering, or is it opening me to peace? And most of the time, if we are honest, it is our thoughts that keep us bound. The stories of not being enough, the shame of the past, the fear of the future, the doubt that whispers we will never get it right. These thoughts feel real, but they are not truth, they are habits. Every time I pick up the brush, I practice choosing differently. I choose to believe I am worthy, that my art is enough, that my process is messy. Or I choose to breathe, to release, to see the paint for what it is, a mirror of my own becoming. Change is not loud, change is quiet. Change happens in the instant you pause long enough to decide. This time I will not repeat the old story. This time I will let it go. This time I will trust the silence instead of rushing to fit it. It's not easy. The mind clings, the body remembers, the nervous system resists. Sometimes it feels safer to stay in the suffering we know than to step into the peace we've never fully trusted. But that is where courage lives. In the moment you let go, in the moment you breathe through the fear, in the moment you trust that even if you fall, even if the old patterns scream, you will survive. Courage is choosing peace again and again. This residency has not only been about art, it has been about self-trust, about repetition, about building a new relationship with myself, one brushstroke at a time. It has shown me that transformation is not a one-time event, it is practice. Daily, relentless, gentle, repetitive. It is the discipline of choosing presence when distraction is easier. It is the discipline of choosing love when judgment is louder. It is the discipline of choosing peace when the mind wants chaos. And it requires detachment. Detachment from perfection, detachment from outcomes, detachment from the belief that change must look dramatic to be real. The truth is, the most profound changes often happen quietly, invisibly, inside. The world might not see them yet, but I feel them. I feel the way my body breathes differently. I feel the way my nervous system softens more quickly. I feel the way I catch myself before falling too deep into old reactions. This is change. practices courage. And courage is not a one-time choice. It is many small choices repeated. It is building a muscle of trust in yourself. It is whispering, I am safe, I can let go, I can try again. It's reminding yourself that your art is valid, your way is valid, your timing is valid, that nobody else gets to decide how fast or how slow you move, that every pause is sacred. And when the storm comes, as they always do, courage is remembering the space. Courage is choosing not to collapse into the old reflexes. Courage is letting yourself feel without letting those feelings define you. For 20 days, I've sat with myself in this space, sometimes willingly, sometimes resistantly, sometimes with joy, sometimes with tears. And I've learned that the space itself is the practice. The courage to change is not about becoming someone else. It's about remembering, I already hold the power to choose, and so do you. If you want to suffer, you can keep choosing the thoughts that cause it, but if you want peace, you must choose to let go. And letting go is not weakness, it is the deepest strength. It is the strength to stop feeding what harms you and to nourish what heals you. So here we are, day 20, and my invitation to myself and to anyone listening is simple. Practice courage. Practice the pause. Practice letting go. Practice stepping into the infinite space between thought and action, and allow yourself to choose differently. This is how we transform. This is how we free ourselves. This is how we create a life that is not bound by old suffering, but alive with possibility. The courage to change begins here, in the pause, in the space, in the trust that you are already enough to carry yourself into peace.